Shake your shake. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, I continue with women's series. Now on women's series part 2. Now I changed the title to The Greatest Advice from the Wisest Prophet Ever, Muhammad. You see, there are so many prophets that Allah has given to mankind. Each of the prophet had something to do. Every one of the prophet had a different purpose. Every prophet was sent to their own people, and they had a specific message for their people. But in the right time and in the wisdom of Allah the Beneficent, He chose to bring a prophet, a special prophet, a man who has a part to even sit in the chair of Allah. This prophet was given not just the purpose to give a message to only his people, but he was a prophet that was given a message for the entire mankind, human race. And the name of this prophet was Muhammad, the messenger of Allah. Muslims believe that is spoken of in the Bible, in the pages of the Bible. He was given a message for the entire world. And this prophet has this advice for every man living on earth in the entire history of the world. Let's listen to this advice. Read with me. Sahih al-Bukhari 2229, book 34, hadith number 176. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, while he was sitting with Allah's messenger, he said, "O Allah's messenger, we get female captives as share of our booty, and we are interested in their prizes. What is your opinion about coitus interruptus?" So this is it. Muhammad's men have gone on a raid after a battle. Islam is advancing, and Muhammad is fighting with his men in jihad. Now, Muhammad and his men have captured some slaves from Arabian town, and there were women captured as slaves. So the prophet with his men were raiding Arabia and making slaves of his own people. Now the female slaves were captured by the men of Muhammad. And as they captured these slaves, they were waiting to sell them off. They were waiting to sell the women. Women series. As the soldiers or the raiders, Muhammad's men, got ready to sell them off, they felt that why don't they enjoy themselves sexually with these women they have captured before they sell them off? So they come to the prophet and ask the prophet, "Prophet, we have gotten some female slaves as our share of the booty." Why do they have share as share of their booty? Because when the Muslims go to fight with Muhammad, Muhammad shares with them the booty. Muhammad is a great leader. He is not a selfish leader. He is a leader that shares the booty with his men. He doesn't take all the booty. He takes only 1/5 of the booty for himself, and he makes his men to share the 4/5 for themselves. So as a good leader as he is, he answers the question of the Muslim fighters, the jihadists. Let's listen to the answer. The Prophet said, do you really do that? It is better for you not to do it. They were asking the Prophet, when we have sex with these slaves, female slaves, do we practice coitus interruptus? Coitus interruptus is when you're having an affair with a woman. When you see you about to come, you remove your penis from the woman so that your sperm does not get into her, so she does not give birth. So the Prophet said, no, you cannot do that. Don't do coitus interruptus. And why shouldn't you do coitus interruptus? Because no soul that which Allah has destined to exist but will surely come into existence. Meaning that it does not matter whether you do coitus interruptus. It doesn't matter whether you remove your penis from the woman before you come. If Allah has destined that the baby should come, you cannot do anything about it. The baby will surely be born. So this is the advice. A Muslim cannot stop a baby from being born. So do not do anything to stop the what? The semen from getting into the woman. The greatest advice from the greatest and wisest prophet of all time. The seal of the prophet. He says, do not take it out. Now, let's look at other versions of the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 2542, book 49, hadith number 25. Narrated Ibn Muhayriz, I saw Abu Sa'id and asked him about coitus interruptus. So the Muslims are concerned about what? Coitus interruptus. After Muhammad has died. So they asked Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Now Abu Sa'id al-Khudri says, we went with Allah's apostle in the Ghazwa of Banu al-Mustalik, and we captured some of the Arabs as captives, and the long separation from our wives was pressing us hard, and we wanted to practice coitus interruptus. So the Abu Sa'id is saying that we went with our apostle, and because our wives were away from us, we felt like doing boom boom. And we wanted to what? Practice coitus interruptus. But Allah's apostle said, it is better for you not to do it. No soul which Allah has destined to exist up to the day of resurrection, but will definitely come into existence. So according to the prophet, you cannot stop a baby from being born. By extension, you cannot, even if you use a condom, still the baby will be born.
And there's evidence. Jabir ibn Abdullah explicitly mentions that, we used to withdraw from, our spouses or our consorts before the ejaculation. So this was their type of, family planning, right? So in those days, obviously, they did not have the types of family planning that we have. They did not have prophylactics. They did not have pills. They did not have any of these things. So what would they do is that the man would pull his organ out before ejaculation, and this would basically prevent pregnancy. But of course, there is no foolproof mechanism, because obviously it is possible to get pregnant. And in fact, in one such scenario in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it in fact did happen, that the man thought that he had pulled out, but in fact, obviously, it wasn't done in time. So the point being, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you can't change the qadr of Allah. You cannot. And if Allah has willed it, you can practice all the family planning you want, and pregnancy will still occur.
The greatest advice from the greatest prophet of all time to the Muslim man: do not use a condom. Do not practice family planning, because it does not matter what you do, the baby will still come into existence. The same hadith, different place, Sahih al-Bukhari, 6603, book 82, hadith number 9. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Hurri. While we were sitting with the Prophet, a man from the Ansar came and said, "O Allah's Messenger, we get slave girls from the war captives, and we love property." So the greatest prophet of all was allowing his men to get what? To get slave girls from the war and to sell them. What do you think? So they continue. What do you think about coitus interruptus? Allah's Messenger said, "Do you do that?" So Muhammad's men were practicing coitus interruptus as a form of family planning, as a form of preventing themselves from what? Impregnating the slave women they are what? Raping. The Prophet was all right with his men raping the slave women. Women series. The Prophet says it's all right to rape slave women. But the greatest advice, for it is better for you not to do it. So the Prophet is advising his men, do not practice coitus interruptus. By extension, do not use condom. Do not use anything that stops the semen from getting into the woman. Why? For there is no soul which Allah has ordained to come into existence, but will be created. You cannot stop a child from being born by coitus interruptus. By extension, there is nothing you can do to stop a child from being born. Your family planning cannot stop a child from being born. Your condom cannot stop a child from being born, oh Muslim woman. So do not practice coitus interruptus. Just go ahead. Young Konkwa, free range. Shake your shake. Ask your sheikh, why has the Prophet given a great advice that Muslim men should not practice coitus interruptus, by extension use condom or any family planning method? But Muslims today and some of the sheikhs, they use condoms, they practice coitus interruptus and other family planning practices. In our country, Ghana, in America, in other places of the West, Muslims are using family planning methods. Do they not believe in their prophet to be the final prophet and the seal of all the prophet, and that they don't they believe in the wisest advice he gave them? Why are the Muslims not listening to the advice of the wisest prophet ever? Shake your shake.
It just backfired on you. You died on that.